Hello, madam. My name is Muhammad Adli Irfan. Now I'm going to talk about introduction. Have you heard the saying, "Do as I say, not as I do"? It's normal for adults to teach kids, but did you realize that kids also learn from adults? Children take up new habits and imitate them via watching, listening, and imitating others. Kids learn by simply seeing other individuals, a process known as observational learning. The child does not necessarily need to interact with the role models on a regular basis. Canadian-American physiologist Albert Bandura was one of the first to recognize the idea of observant learning. The social learning theory, which is his theory, emphasized the importance of seeing and modeling other people's behavior, attitudes, and emotional response. Four mechanisms are identified by Bandura's research as having an impact on observational attention, retention, reproduction, and motivation. Next is social learning theory in this scenario. Growing up and surviving in a world that is always changing both depends on learning. As soon as we born, we begin to learn. Different psychological theories have been developed to explain how and why learning occurs. Learning is a complex process. Behaviorism serves as a foundation before cognitive science took over. Together, these two concepts gave rise to psychologist Albert Bandura's social theory learning. This theory of learning and development may have grown to be the most significant ones. It is still in use today. We must first comprehend the idea in order to comprehend how it has impacted the past, present, and future. This entails assessing its advantages and disadvantages, which should show us where the theory is lacking. Next is a process of social learning theory. One of the key players in an organization who may help to maintain productivity and steer in the direction of the established vision is the manager. To do this, managers should implement the social learning theory in the workplace. Managers should first use the intentional technique with their employees. Next is motivational mechanism. Influence whether or not those behaviors show up as overt action. Last but not least, the enforcement mechanism works by influencing what happens after people behave in order to modify their behavior.
So I'm going to talk about errors and biases. The errors and biases that happen in the scenario is a stereotyping. Stereotyping is a judging someone on the basis of the one's perception to group of which person belongs. A lot of people believe that all members of a group share similar traits and behavior. However, each individual member is actually having his or her own unique characteristics and quite different from other members in the group. In this scenario, is a name biases. There are kinds of type of name biases such as type of name. Example, the name is Bala Nadu. Bala Nadu stay at Washington DC, America. Bala works in an organization and all the workers is white people. Bala once tried to suggest for improving the organization, but most of them just underestimate Bala and ignore his suggestion. Just because Bala is Indian, they all set their mindset that Bala is just a normal worker and never be the best because of Indian culture that might be not liked, even though Bala is smart and have his own characteristic and quite different from others Indian. It also have some racism sentiment for this such of biases. Then I'm going to talk about the factor that influence perception. The first is the factor in the perceiver expectation. Expectation have an impact on how people are perceived. The state of expecting a specific behavior from a person is connected to expectation. For example, a technical manager will expect the non-technical staff members won't be familiar with products' technical features. Second, factor in the situation times. It influences perception as well. Students who read the OB book first thing in the morning comprehend swiftly and readily. In contrast, when they were being examined, they promptly saw the OB book in bookstore. And the last one is factors in target proximity. It makes the assumptions that close objects are immediately and easily perceived. Additionally, it demonstrates how unique each person in comparison to others.
The rational decision making model explain how humans should behave in order to achieve a goal by making consistent judgments that maximize value within a set of restrictions. When making a decision, one process that may be used is to examine and analyze the options. This option involves ranking each criterion based on its strengths and flaws. This is done to guarantee that the decision is the best one in the organization. In addition, a rational selection model identifies the decision criteria. The goal is to establish whether or not the element is relevant to the current choice. For example, the cost of a new motorbike privilege necessary to purchase the motorbike and determine how well the new motorbike performs. Then, choose the finest option and put it into action. This indicates that every choice that has been implemented must be done with dedication to the decision. For example, if we want to buy a car, we must first conduct an analysis before making a decision. Furthermore, we must use caution in selection the greatest choice. This is significant since obtaining the greatest options is to view the maximum score in making an informed decision. As a result, we must consider our options before acting in a way that would undermine our chosen course of actions. This is why it's important for us to comprehend how individuals think and deliberate before making judgments. As a result, each person must have a solution that works for their particular assumptions. People's actions depend more on whether they believe something or not than on the external surroundings. Perception is what is meant here. We must assess how the employees view their jobs in order to achieve high productivity and prevent low productivity.